Hey there hikers, Sloth and Dreamer here again this week. We came back to the spot we left off last time. We finished section 4, now we're going to start on section 3. And it's a day hike consisting of 12.5 miles of a big ascent at the beginning, big elevation gain. Hopefully we'll keep that elevation for a good while so we don't have a lot of up and down. But we're going through a dry patch, so there's not a lot of water. So we're trying to do this in one day. So we'll see you on the trail. Here we got a double diamond, and this means the same thing as a conventional 2x6 double blaze on most other trails. It means a change of direction or you're crossing a road. In this instant, we are changing direction for switchback. Now, so far on this trail, we found relatively few switchbacks like you would see on the AT or other trails that gain a lot of elevation. We have some where you change from a footpath to a Jeep road or an old logging road or something like that. But this little stretch we're doing from Laurel Run parking lot up to the peak of the elevation we're going to hit here shortly. There's been several switchbacks, so just something to be aware of. Okay, we have another rarity here on the Allegheny Trail, an open view. Now, over the miles that we've been through so far, we've seen some views that look really good to the eye, but it just doesn't look as well through the lens because of the trees in the front or weeds or other obstacles that are in the way. But it looks like here that the trail maintenance guys have cleared away some dead trees that were beneath this, so we've got a great view out through the valley. So we appreciate the trail maintenance guys. All right, we're experimenting with new techniques here. I've got my ultra pod set up on my hiking stick. To give you a little video as we're walking, maybe a little bit of view off the side of the ridge walk that we're doing. Been ridge walking for half mile, 3/4 of a mile now, and that's one of the good things about the Allegheny Trail. There's quite a bit of ridge walking. It gives you some good views off the side, but like we've talked about before, it's not always great for the camera, but it's something you can appreciate with the eye. And most of the time the ridge walking is a little bit easier. You don't have as much elevation gain and elevation loss. It's kind of depressing when you build yourself up to a certain elevation and you drop right back down. And this way I can keep an eye on Dreamer behind me a little bit. So we'll see you on down the trail. We were just picking our way through a bunch of blackberry vines back there and getting our legs scratched and arms and everything, and trying to move them out of the way of the paths. And we noticed how the whole ridge side here looks like it's got berries on it, and we think that there's been a fire here in the past decade or so that opened up the area. There's a lot of blackberry vines and blooms and things, and there's some bear sign around. So what we think happened was that, you know, as nature goes, fire came through, killed off a lot of the underbrush and some of the trees, lets more sunlight in, and the berry vines come up, and the bears adapt to it. They love areas like this. There may be some huckleberries or blueberries around here somewhere as well, but what we see mostly is blackberries. Just something interesting along the trail. Dreama's ascending the hill. Their little dead cat covering her microphone, shaking along. I fear at some point a coyote may think that's a real critter and attack her for it.
Didn't think there was any water on this segment of the trail we're doing today, but we did have to cross this creek.
Trailhead where we started this morning at Laurel Run, the road that led to that also continues on to Sherwood Lake State Park, and from this vantage point you can see the lake. It's a very nice place. You go down, it's got a little island out in the beach area, a lot of fishing. They have cabins and campgrounds. It's very nice, and it's very picturesque from here today. Okay, well, we made it, and according to the trail guide, it was 12.5 miles. In spite of what the sign says, 11.5 miles. There may have been some trail rerouting since this sign was put up. But so a one-day hike of 12.5 miles, that's pretty good for old folks like us. So we're pleased with our progress. And to this point, we've hiked some sections of it, but from this point on, everything will be new to us. So we'll have something to look forward to. The next trip looks, well, according to this, at least it's 9.5 miles to Watauga State Park. So that might be another day hike if we're feeling good. Hey there, hikers. We're back at Bear Branch Trailhead where we left off last time. And we're headed to Calvin Price State Forest. Still along Allegheny Trail in section 3. And it's about 10.5 miles. It's a long way by road. But it's summertime now, and we're dealing with a lot of high grass, and we're going to show you the lengths to which we're willing to go for you. Years ago, I read about a gentleman who would put plastic bags around his feet while he's walking through the ticky areas. Last time we came out through this field, there was several ticks that we had to get off of us, and so we decided to give this a try. Dream had mentioned something about looking dorky, but we're going to give it a try anyway. So we'll see you up the trail. Okay, we had to slog through that field, and it's pretty wet, pretty slippery. The plastic bag idea did keep the ticks off of our shoes, but we still had them climbing up our legs. Dreama especially, she had 8 or 10 that we had to get off before we get out of the field. Fortunately, they were the big dog-type ticks that are fairly easy to see. We didn't notice any of the smaller ones. I can't remember the rider who mentioned putting plastic bags on his legs walking across the field. He said he used plastic shopping bags, and apparently used something bigger than a Walmart bag because ours just got up barely over our socks. After that, it was a steep climb. It's a very muggy day. It's 90% humidity. It's probably in the low 80s. When we got to elevation, it was a little bit cooler, and we finally got to an area that was an old road bed, and we're hiking this, but as you can see, it's grown up quite a bit. We've been taking our time because we did run into a big rattlesnake earlier, probably the biggest timber rattler I've ever seen. And as you go out through here, they mention in the guidebook that there's no signs to indicate when the trail leaves this particular road. And as you can see, there is a little area down here, and it would be very easy to miss in all of this clutter with the way spring has hit the Appalachians here. As you remember, when we started out back in April, the spring had not got up to elevation, and we were going through fairly clear areas, and you could see a good ways. The yellow blazes were easy to find, but not so much now. I'll point this out to you as we get down here. Okay, we have a blaze that's pointed like an arrow, and another blaze and a bar up above it. It's like a double bar. So that indicates when there's a change of direction or something to be aware of. So in this case, be aware not to continue out this road because you'll just be wasting your footsteps. Another thing we've seen along the ridgetop is areas where it looks like a bear has dug up bees' nest or looked for chipmunks or whatever. And along this area, he's really had a ball through here. Cleared out a lot of stuff, and this is fairly recent. I get Dreamer to turn the camera over towards that hole. That's some fresh dirt there. I don't know what he was looking for, but I hope he found it. Not a lot of views today. I guess when I last talked to you, we were on the ridge line and come down where the bear had tore up around the blowdown. And since then we've been coming down, been going through some dark areas, so it wasn't a good place to video, and going through some rhododendron like this. At least it opened up a bit here. Did a lot of creek crossing, and there's some boggy areas there. It's the area known as the docks, which we maybe should have took some video from. That was real soggy around there, but it has been rainy here recently, so that could explain that. As you can see, it looks like a moist area with all the ferns and stuff growing up. The rhododendron, they love moist areas. The one advantage we have, it's a little bit cooler down here, so we're not sweating as much as we were. So we're getting close back to the trailhead where we left off Dreamer's Drop. We'll see you there. 10.5 miles today, so we've knocked out another section, section 3. There was a lot of blowdowns, and looks like some areas hadn't seen trail maintenance in a while, but hopefully that'll be rectified before too long. Had this last creek here that we just couldn't find a dry way over, so we just walked through that one. And again, we didn't see anybody else on the trail. It's mostly connection of switchbacks and old logging roads, deep trails, things like that. But not a lot of scenery, not a lot of views, but it still was a pleasant walk. We did the best we could under the humid conditions. So we'll see you start from here next time.